Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. I believe it's our 175th session. We've been doing these now for just over 4.5 years, where we seek to help founders with whatever questions you may have in terms of that journey of yours as you build your early stage, whether you need help with anything to do with your product and tech. And by the way, when I say anything, I mean anything. This is our last session of 2025. We won't be doing any other product and tech sessions until the 13th of January 2026. So in terms of today's questions, they can be on anything to do with product and tech, whether that's product roadmaps, design, prototype, full stack, tech debt, automation, apps, landing pages, testing, launching your MVP, and anything beyond or in between for that matter. If your questions today are not on product and tech, you'll need to save them for the other conversations that we run. Normally, there are 6 of those: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising. Second Friday of each month is UK Startup Law, and third Friday of each month is UK Startup Finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available on our site, startuptoscaleup.club, and you can RSVP to any future ones. As far as this works, we will have some quick introductions. I'll ask the panelists for their do and don't when it comes to early stage building of products and tech. And then we'll go on to some questions that were sent in to us by some of you. So without further ado, my name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally. Right after they get investment, I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and accelerators and help some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessments.
Hi, I'm Meri Williams. I'm a CTO typically of larger scale-up type businesses. I was previously at Monzo and have just left Pleo, a Danish fintech.
Good afternoon. My name's Adrian. I'm CEO of a software as a service company called Blockmark Technologies. Previously had experience with starting and exiting an anti-counterfeiting business, which was materials-based technology, and also had some experience with events as being the product as well. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Martin Wilks. I'm currently a CTPO at Clue Software doing SaaS investigation platforms. Previous to that, I've done a number of early stage to late stage scale-ups and helping build those out. I also mentor in a number of areas and help other people as board advisors. So I've been doing it for 10, 15 years at an executive level.
Hi, my name's Tom Green. I'm the CEO of Verticode. Verticode is a product studio based here in the UK that works mostly with early stage founders who are at that launch phase. So alongside some existing businesses, we're mostly working with founders who are looking to get across that first product hurdle. So we work on understanding what the core value proposition is for those founders, what they should be looking to deliver, where the real value is in their product, and I guess the main thing as well is how they can then effectively iterate on that product based on customer feedback.
Hi everyone, my name is Redian. I'm the founder of Honest Solutions. For the last 5 years, we are a development studio. We build software that scales. For the last 5 years, we've been helping our clients, made primarily in the UK, to create and run digital products and systems without breaking too many things in the process. In my past life, I've been engaged in many early stage startups, scale-ups, as well as enterprise businesses. Technology is what we do on a daily basis. I'm hoping that sharing some experiences will help any of the people interested in starting something new.
Thank you very much to all 5 of you. So if we can have one do and one don't each, please, that would be great.
Yeah. So my big do is a bit of a cliche one, but I think I've probably mentioned this most of the time when I'm on here, is do have the crucial conversations early. Be brave with those conversations early when you're thinking about launching a product. Don't just have the sort of the high level discussions around whether people might like your concept or things like that. Really get down to the absolute brass tacks of, are you building something that people are going to pay for? Are you solving those really acute problems which are going to move the needle from a commercial perspective if you were to launch your product? And I think the key thing there is being brave and being willing to get the responses that you don't want, to get those no's, to really kind of push the boundaries of what people are willing to spend money on and or engage with. And that will help you shape your product in the long term. In terms of a don't, I think kind of this is a recent one that I've spoken around on other channels, is something I see a lot as founders try to hire in expertise in all walks of their business too quickly. And I think for early stage founders, I think the biggest don't for me is don't try and outsource anything that you perceive to be anything and everything that you perceive to be out of your reach. A big part of being a founder is learning the ins and outs of your business, and that might mean that you have to get up to speed or kind of do a little bit of learning around topics which aren't necessarily your specific expertise, and that won't be forever. It might just be while you're in those very, very early stages. But yeah, don't outsource your contact and understanding with the different aspects of your business, because having that understanding of your business will be really important further down the road. So that's my do and don't.
Okay, great. My do, well, I'm not going to focus a lot on the technical part and the money part, because we've been saying this many times in the past, that try and get to product market fit and see if people are willing to pay for it. But I would focus on the team. I know there's a lot of discussions on one-person billion-dollar companies, etc. But from my experience in technology for the last 20 years, I've hardly witnessed any successful or any big idea or any big product being created by singular people. I'm a strong believer that small teams can build big things and cool things, provided that they share that that conviction and motivation that small teams or even big ones to build on through their interactions or daily interactions with each other, and they find that fuel that we all need to wake up in the morning and go and chase those ideas and dreams that we have, and hopefully make them happen someday. So I would focus more on the as a do. Try and find people that show up, people that are present, and people that are willing to sacrifice their time, their brain power, their capacity, network, contacts, family, whatever, with you to make it happen. I think people, it's from my experience, probably the most important ingredient in building a business. You need people with conviction, you need people that show up, you need people that have consistency. I've hardly seen anyone benefit from people that might be super smart, but lack conviction, lack consistency, possibly don't believe in your vision. So I would much rather say, as a big do, find people that can share a vision with you, can share their time, their energy with you to build the product that you want to build, and hopefully make it a success. And things will fail like they do most of the time, but finding the right people, it will also mean that they will be there for you. It will help you in your decisions, whether to change strategy, pivot, just forget about the idea and jump on something new, whatever they may be. I think the people that you surround yourself with and the people that you build your company or that little initial team, the nucleus of your business, I think is very important. So pick those people carefully and look for good habits and good traits. Generally, high-performing people have those traits and manifest them on daily basis as you work with them. The lack of consistency and lack of communication and lack of showing up and lack of making time, etc., lack of that healthy daily routine. Yeah, I would say those would probably be my don'ts or the red flags that you need to be aware.
So I will cover the technical side. So I would say as a do, use tech debt as a tool. It's fine to build things in a scrappy, crappy way when you're finding product market fit, and just make sure that you're treating it the way you would financial debt, right? You sometimes need to pay for something before you've got the cash in hand. It's okay, but you've got to be able to afford the interest payments. And so in the same way, if you build something very scrappily, make sure you've planned in the time to rebuild it or to convert it into something more sustainable and scalable if you do find that you've got product market fit and that you can take it bigger. But obviously don't, the opposite of that would be to build it perfectly from the start, and it's both very difficult to do that and a waste of time if you're building the wrong thing, which is very likely early on when you're pre-product market fit. And then for a don't, I would say don't copy those that are too far ahead of where you are. I see a lot of startups talking about doing something the way that Google does it, or similar, and that's fine. But how are Google doing it when they were your size? Look for people who are, 12, 18, 24 months ahead of you on the journey, rather than people who are billions and billions of dollars in revenue and thousands of employees ahead of where you are.
So I would say do think about some of the trends that are happening now. So depends on your product and service, but do consider how AI can help you. Do think about cybersecurity, privacy, etc. A lot of people launch into new products and services without giving thought for, unfortunately, some of the compliance and some of those overheads. So think carefully about the implications of those. And I mentioned AI, there's a lot of talk about it, but that can certainly help you if implemented properly. And if you start using it gradually now, you might find that you can save time in the future and actually get ahead of some of your competitors. But I would also say don't underestimate the time and cost to develop even a minimum viable product. So people often think that they can just knock something up quickly and it'll be a usable product, but all of these issues around testing, scaling it to be usable by multiple users, dealing with the bugs or the problems or the things that don't work out first time, all take time and money. And even the simplest of ideas are surprisingly expensive, I think, at the end. So just bear that in mind. And it goes back to what Meri was saying as well, about sort of trying to put something together quickly and easily rather than trying to do the Rolls-Royce solution.
Some great advice there, and I will back a lot of that. The go fast and get it in front of customers, potential customers, get feedback early, I think is my biggest do. So if it has to be scrappy, if you have to buy something in just to build out a product, just do that, just to get velocity, get feedback, pivot, move based on that feedback, and then you'll navigate yourself to product market fit. Don't, I would say, it's one thing I see with a lot of founders, and this is not as you found the businesses and it starts to scale a little bit, is once they start to build teams out, they're still trying to do absolutely everything themselves, and being able to effectively delegate to your team, because as another person on the call said, you got to hire great people that you trust to get the job done. And so as a founder, you then become more able then to focus on the business and the other key elements where your founder power is really needed.
So a quick reminder and a reset of the conversation. We're here for Startup Product and Tech Q&A. It's our 175th session. We've had about 290,000 people tune into these sessions in the last 4.5 years, and none of that would have happened without people like Meri, Adrian, Martin, Redian, and Tom. So if you panelists would like to drop your LinkedIn in the chat and maybe a couple of words about what you're about in terms of startup product and tech, please feel free to do so. The least we can do is follow you on LinkedIn. Today, we're taking questions on anything related to your product and tech, whether you want to know about your product roadmap, your design, your prototype, your testing, your tech debt, your full stack, your apps, your landing pages, launching your MVP, and anything else in between or beyond for that matter. There are no wrong questions and no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. After this, we will then resume with our next product and tech Q&A on the 13th of January, 2026. In the meantime, you may also want to join our community on Facebook. We've got a group especially for product and tech in startups. And if your questions today are not on product and tech, please save them for the rest of the sessions we have. So in general, we have Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of each month is UK startup law, and third Friday of each month is UK startup finances. Obviously, this being our last week, we only have then tomorrow growth, Thursday fundraising, and Friday financial. For those of you on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you do have any questions for us, you'll have to join us here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, which means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And it doesn't matter whether you're walking your dog in Surrey or cooking lunch in Liverpool or having lunch in Glasgow or working from a shared office in Shoreditch or perhaps changing baby nappies in Bristol. It doesn't matter where you are. It's easy to tune in via any platform or device. Quickest way to do that is to go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club. Again, the website is startuptoscaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit, you'll find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 175. You click join. It's a quick registration on Luma. There you'll find today's link for Microsoft Teams. Once you're here, then simply drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic, you introduce yourself, and then fire away with whatever questions you have. We're now going to go on to the first question today. I'm the founder of a community-based shopping app in Manchester that supports local businesses. I'm struggling to narrow down my MVP to just the essentials, as every feature feels crucial. Frameworks or decision-making processes can help me refine my MVP scope to deliver maximum impact on launch.
Okay, yes. So, I mean, this is always a thing to struggle with. Founders usually have lots of ideas, and focus is the problem. I would say one of the ways of approaching this is to methodically write down all your features and categorize them so that you can see them on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet, and then start to look at what they bring to the customer's journey. So how valuable are they, and what do they bring to the customer and to you? So are they crucial for some part of the journey, or are they a nice to have? Think a little bit about how much they're costing to develop or deliver. Are they a pain? Are they easy? And things like that. So that over time, you build out a clear picture in your head of what all the features are, what their pros and cons are, and what their kind of overhead is. And that, to me, really is the only way to be disciplined about features. You can also look at how the features might develop over time as well. So look at how much time and effort that's going to take. And then you can start to prioritize. And finally, talk to customers as well to find out what they think.
I would use so I'd agree with all of that. One model that I found very useful that encompasses some of the advice you just heard is the Kano model, which is basically helping you figure out what are the must-haves, the basic needs of a problem, what are the things that are going to surprise and delight people, and what are the things that are just going to make them less dissatisfied, and making sure that you have a mix of those satisfiers. So you've got something for people to talk about, as well as meeting the basic needs is important.
I'm not sure there's a framework that I would be able to advise, but I would definitely advise the founder to go and speak very closely to his target audience, get some user research, some interviews in, try and distill the problem that he's trying to fix, maybe figure out if, based on those interviews and the insights that he or she will be getting from their user research, I'll try and see if there's a way to prioritize based on effort and impact. Generally speaking, you'd want to go after the low effort and high impact items first, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I would encourage a lot of time with his target audience and create those lists of features, functionalities that he wants to incorporate in his product, their product, and not try and build everything for everyone, and be as specific as possible, ideally. And that will help build a usable product that people might be willing to pay for. That's it for me.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I would, for the problem that they've got, I would try the RICE scoring, which is reach, impact, confidence, and effort. Really very similar to what other people on the call have already been saying, is get your features down, look at the potential impact to your customers, and you do that by talking to your customers, understanding what they want, understanding the problem you're trying to solve. It can be that with all these features, you can think they're all important, but once you start to get them down, start to put some critical thinking on it, a pattern will emerge. There'll be certain user journeys that become critical and therefore require certain features. So I would go that way. RICE scoring is quite an easy way to do it. The Kano model as well, also perfectly sensible. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, I was going to say something quite similar, which was just, the Kano model works really well, but I think it's also in the early stages important to overlay it with an understanding of the effort that's going into the building of each feature. If you're looking at getting a mix of those pillars and how you're going to excite your customers, or how you're going to serve their basic needs, make sure when you're choosing the routes you want to go down, each of those, and which user journeys you want to explore to serve those needs, just make sure you have a real understanding of the effort going into those, and ideally choosing those ones which are lower effort. I think the other thing I wanted to say quickly on this was, I'm maybe reading between the lines a little bit here, but it does feel like this founder is kind of using the MVP as their kind of jumping off point, which from a functioning product perspective makes sense, and obviously is the natural progression. But I do think if they're still having these thoughts kind of, and having these debates kind of themselves internally, they probably do need to take a step back. And there is usually a phase before the launching of an MVP, would be to get something visual in front of your prospective users, and using AI tools like Replit and Lovable, you can put together prototypes which can give a mock-up of your proposed user journeys with not too much effort. You'll probably struggle if you're non-technical to get that into a working product, but in terms of just it being a prototype to begin with, get some of your potential customers, potential users to run through those journeys and see where they're getting the value. Try and validate that firsthand before launching your MVP even. So that would be my advice.
Thank you very much. We'll now go on to another question that was sent in to us. I'm the Techia co-founder for B2B SaaS platform in Edinburgh for managing employee benefits. Our clients find that our dashboard complicated and confusing. Could you share advice on creating a UX that simplifies the dashboard experience while still offering the depth of data our users need? Redian, I believe you built an ATS not too long ago, so maybe you can start on that. Then we can go to Martin, then Tom, then Meri, and last but not least, Adrian, please.
Yeah, dashboards are tricky. In the past, we've never managed to get it right on our first try. Building the right dashboard has always been an iterative process for us. We start with something, and then we follow sort of whether data or the information, what the most important information that requires, or that could be conveyed visually straight up to the stakeholders. I would say don't worry for making a complex dashboard to start with, because personally we've always done it. But what's important is to try and figure out what's working and what's not really adding much value to stakeholders. So you need to speak to them very closely. You need to try and understand their pain points, and why do they think their customer, why do they think that the dashboard is complicated, and see if they can simplify things or figure smart ways of displaying and conveying the message that the data is telling to the interested parties. It's very important when you build an application that evolves in time. It's important for you to think as you add things to it. It's very important to think about what can be removed as well, because we often find ourselves very eager and keen to add a lot of widgets, a lot of new sort of graphs and bar charts and whatnots on your dashboards without thinking that what can be taken away from. So I would suggest for them, as they add, or even if they don't add anything, maybe to ask the question of what is it that can be removed to make things simpler. So yeah, that's what I would say.
It's a perennial thing with SaaS platforms. How much, how, when you do it. I mean, I would start. It sounds like they've got one that's very rich in data, but maybe too rich for a lot of their users, which is basically their key issue. I would look at your persona of your users and look to then have dashboards targeted specifically at those personas, and really just strip out a lot of data that's not relevant to those people. So you just have more of either a hierarchical view or a persona view of your dashboard, and then just keep it as simple as possible for the team. What is the key piece of information or group of information that persona of user wants to get out of your dashboard? Present them with that, with a trend line information, and then start with that and build up from that. You're collecting the rich data set underneath, so you can always add it back in, but then just really strip it down for simplicity. That's where I would start, and I'd focus on user personas as a way of rationalizing your approach.
Basically, the points made before are very sensible around making sure you're only showing the data or you're only visualizing data which is relevant to a certain user. And that might be that you've got a lot of data that you're showing to all users, and you need to segment those users and have specific views for specific user types. I mean, if you're able to get the feedback, it might be that there's just some of the data you're showing which isn't really that relevant to any users. So, getting some feedback on that would be useful. I think the other thing as well is, if you're really, if all the data you're showing is absolutely essential just in different use cases and different frequencies, I mean, I think there's often a bit of SaaS platforms jump towards having users land on dashboards because they are generally look pretty on the eye and look nice. But if it is the case that actually you're wanting your users to dive into quite specific pieces of data and dive deeper into the analytics of those, having some navigation before you get to the dashboard itself would be helpful. So rather than showing data from 15 different pillars on one dashboard, you have a little bit of navigation which takes people into dashboard which is or dashboard which has one specific topic, might be user adoption or employee adoption in this case, or something like that, or specific to health benefits or whatever it may be, and then it's a bit more digestible for the user.
This is going to sound a little facetious, but there are people who specialize in this. They're called designers. I would get some professional help with this. Dashboards are particularly hard, and you're going to do better by having somebody do some proper user research and some proper design work on it than flailing around yourselves trying to make it better incrementally. I would just get some help.
Yes, and I also think that techies and software developers tend to over-egg dashboards and want to show everything all at once because it's in their nature. And of course, the customer has their own views as to what they want to see, as everybody's just said. I think a couple of other things you could try, depending on your platform, is add a bit of flexibility in there so that the customer can tune what they see. So with, for example, a widget or something, so that they can show it, move it around, or hide it. And the other approach could be scale it back a bit like the others said, add some navigation, but also you could add a bit of A/B testing where in one case you're showing it in one way and in another case you're showing it a different way, and ask your customer what they prefer or what it is that they find particularly difficult about what you've got at the moment. Dialogues are always useful, I think, in these cases.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder to those of you on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X, we're unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you've got any questions in terms of needing help with your product or tech, and it can be anything to do with, early stage building, whether it's roadmaps or prototypes or design or testing, full stack, tech debts, automation, AI, launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. You do, though, need to join us here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, which means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. Quickest way to join us here is via our website, startuptoscaleup.club. So again, it's startuptoscaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit, you'll see today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 175. Click join. It's a quick registration on Luma, and there you'll find today's link on Microsoft Teams. Our next question, third question for today, and she says, okay, building a marketplace that connects small UK-based retailers with customers seeking sustainable and locally produced goods. We're unsure whether to build our own marketplace infrastructure from scratch or use platforms like Shopify to get started quickly? What are the trade-offs in terms of customization, availability, and ownership of customer data if we use a third-party e-commerce platform? Am I going to sound like a dictator if I say I can answer that? Yes, do not start building when you can get it done from somewhere else. Let's see a quick one from the team here. So, any quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess a quick thought for me would just be slightly unclear from the question whether this is actually like a two-sided marketplace or if the founders are just going to be providing or kind of providing the supplier side of this marketplace themselves, in which case something like Shopify would be fine to get you off the ground. There are also similar solutions for two-sided marketplaces which work pretty well, like ShareTribe. I mean, for the initial launch, definitely do that. Definitely get something which is maybe it's a bit more off the shelf in the long term, and then you can prove out the demand for this and kind of sort out a bit of your go-to-market. And then in the long term, yeah, get something built custom, which is going to serve your very specific needs, and give you that the ability to personalize and customize to meet your brand's needs. Yeah, in the short term, use off the shelf.
Yes, I agree with Tom. I think you've got to start quickly and check that the marketplace really is viable and that, people want to buy and sell what you're thinking of in the way you're thinking of it, and make use of existing platforms. There are plenty out there. It'll save you a lot of time and effort. And then also, as Tom says, if it turns out there's a very niche thing that you're trying to accomplish that the platforms don't offer, that's when you could start creating your own platform off the back of some success.
I would agree with everybody. Start with Shopify or similar. Think of it as all of their engineers working for you. They're going to have such a richer set of features than you can build if you start from scratch. Just to speak specifically to the ownership of customer data, it doesn't cause you a problem in terms of ownership of customer data. You will still own that data. You just have to have in your T's and C's that it will also be processed by Shopify or whoever you use.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think I can add any more to the excellent advice already given. Always buy as opposed to build when it's a commoditized piece of solution, and this is. So yeah, go Shopify, make your money, and then if you need to, build back. So yeah, great advice.
I think on last, as said previously by the other panelists, I concur. Test things out with existing tools and see what you can add value and maybe even do things better. And until then yeah, just use the existing tools. And if you believe that there could be opportunities in the future to create something unique and that could potentially be part of your IP, then go for it and maybe building something yourself. But until then, just use existing ones.
Thank you very much for that. We've got time for one more question. 4. One of 3 co-founders with a technical project manager background of a e-commerce startup in Bristol with a large and growing inventory database. Product search times are lagging, especially during high traffic. We're using MySQL and indexing hasn't yielded significant improvements. Are there alternative query optimization techniques or database configurations we should explore to handle these high query loads, especially product search and filtering?
Bit struggle there. I'm not a DBA expert. What I've seen in the past when we've had issues like this on databases is caching, increasing buffer pools, partitioning can add value. But yeah, I wouldn't claim to be an expert. So I'm sure there's other people on this call that will give you a better answer than that.
Yeah, similar to Martin, really. I mean, we have these problems with our own software as a service sometimes, and we've looked at various different solutions. I mean, one of the best ways of solving this is to look at the logs or the graphs, the sort of data metrics at the back of the system you're using. For example, if you're on Azure or Amazon Web Services or something, and try and understand what it is that's happening. You mentioned high traffic. Is it that you're not running it on a higher spec enough virtual machine? Are you running out of CPU? Are you running out of memory? Are you trying to make too many queries at once? So are you having a problem with the multiplexing? And you have to drill down. And we found this is that different problems arise through different scenarios. As your customer base grows and the use grows, sometimes you outgrow the spec that you started with. And you can also do a lot of analysis on the search queries themselves and how effective they are, how much time they're taking with the sort of back-end analytics?
MySQL relational database, I mean, it can be optimized a lot, but from my understanding, what he's saying is that high traffic product search feature is getting slower. I would recommend maybe what we've done in the past is we've looked at alternatives to create like a sort of an additional layer for that, specifically optimized for that searching ability. We've used in the past Elasticsearch or Algolia as an additional layer. This obviously increases your sort of technical, not necessarily depth, but increases your things that you need to look after, because these additional layers, they require some synchronization capabilities to be in place, where you add, change, move products from your products table in your MySQL database. You need to make sure that you update these indexes. They're very fast, super performant. They never have issues with any of these peaks of traffic or high volume traffic, especially for searching purposes. They're highly optimized for such use cases. You can do all sorts of clustering, multifaceted search, categorization, sorting, listing, ordering, pagination, all of that out of the box. They could get a bit pricey depending on your volume, but I guess you'd need to do some sort of cost and benefit exercise there to figure out if this is something that you can offload, let's say, to Algolia, which is a paid service, or you could potentially run your own Elasticsearch or OpenSearch instances in your own infrastructure. So yeah, I would recommend looking into these alternatives depending on the size of the problem. If it's in the hundreds or thousands of queries, then possibly you might even optimize your own MySQL boxes for it. But otherwise, you could look into such services.
Yeah, I strongly echo what's been said. You can buy this. I would do Elasticsearch or OpenSearch. One of the managed instances on AWS is probably the easiest, so you don't have to take on DBA type work. Yeah, just get the most out of the available specialist search services that exist. You're going to need it eventually, so it's just about when you bite the bullet.
Thank you very much. What are your parting words, especially since this is our last Q&A for 2025?
Remember to take some proper rest over the holiday period. It's really easy when you're doing a startup to be running all the time. But as the founders at Monzo used to say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you don't rest enough, then you're going to break down at some critical point in the journey. So make sure that you take the opportunity when loads of people are out the office anyway. Your customers probably don't want to talk to you over Christmas anyhow. Depending on what your business is, get some proper rest and don't just do nothing, do things that refill your cup.
Thank you for all your support so far, Meri.
Yeah, I was just add that I think, developing products and services is a really satisfying thing, particularly when you get it in the hands of customers. It's nice to see your work and your ideas being used for real, and you have to take on the chin the fact that not everybody likes what you do or finds it as straightforward as you think they should, but see that as part of the development journey, that you're getting the feedback, you're getting more users to use it and being happy customers as a result, and that should be your aim. So despite the frustrations, make the most of it and enjoy doing it as well, and have a good Christmas and take some rest, as Meri says.
Thank you for your support too, Adrian.
Yeah, I super echo the get some rest point. It is a really intense thing to do, building companies from scratch, and as the founder, a lot of that pressure lands on their shoulders. Also, think about 2026, refresh and go again with focus and purpose, and that's where you get your success. Just stay focused and drive forward.
Thank you for your
Building great products is not easy. It's hard, it's challenging. Be prepared, be aware of it. Great products do not build in isolation. Speak to users, stay close to them, be honest of what's working and what's not working. And have those hard conversations early on with yourself and your founders, and try and reduce the cost of our mistakes, and especially in early stage. by having hard conversations quicker and making those hard decisions as quick as possible to minimize the cost and keep shipping. Don't forget, nothing has to be perfect. Ship it, learn, iterate, and hopefully make it a great success. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope 2026 is going to be a better year than 2025.
Thank you for your support too, Redian. Last but not least, Tom, please.
Yeah, I think I probably echo what everyone said about making sure you get some rest. I think definitely kind of echo what Meri said around the fact that you can use this as an opportunity. Most of your clients probably don't want to hear from you during this time. But I think the slight kind of layer that I'll add on top of that is that obviously building a company is very hard and very intense for yourself, but can also be challenging and intense for your family who are around you and people who are supporting you on this journey of yours. Yeah, this is always a good opportunity. I think I say this to my team as well, is that this is a really good opportunity to give back and give your full attention to your family and friends and loved ones. And so, yeah, just make sure you take that opportunity, because when you get back from January, it might be busy and you might not get that opportunity again for a while. So yeah, definitely make the most of it.
Thank you for your support too, Tom. Huge thanks to everyone that tuned in today, especially our amazing panelists. Thank you for all you've done throughout these sessions this year. Absolute gold, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to those of you that tuned into the live streams, although we'd prefer you did that here on Microsoft Teams instead. Just a couple of things before my parting words. Just remember, one, as I said, we prefer for you to join us here on Microsoft Teams, and the quickest way to do that is to go onto our website and RSVP to any session that you want. That way you'll be able to then join and register via Luma. So you click on the session and then it takes you to Luma. You register there and you get the link to join us on Microsoft Teams. We run 6 regular sessions. Mondays it's talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of each month it's UK startup law, and third Friday of each month it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available on our site, startuptoscaleup.club. Again, it's startuptoscaleup.club. You can click there and join us on any session you wish. Whilst you're there, you can also join our WhatsApp community. We've got some amazing groups of founders, investors, operators, and of course our panelists. I've actually just put in the chat here a link to a WhatsApp group we have specifically for product and tech. This is our last session for product and tech. So the next one will now be on the 13th of January 2026. We've got a few more sessions to go this week. Tomorrow it's growth, Thursday it's fundraising, and Friday it's UK finances, all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and hope to see you there. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, to these amazing panelists that helped us today, thank you again. If you celebrate them, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Nonetheless, have a great end of 2025 and a brilliant start to 2026. And to everyone else, thank you. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Growth Q&A, and God bless.